Will the American economy end in 2025? Chapter 1. Introduction. Economic Apocalypse. America's 2025 Crisis. Did you know the global economy is worth a staggering $104 trillion USD? And guess what? The US holds the lion's share, boasting a massive $27.7 trillion USD. But things are taking a startling turn. Reports suggest that America's economic empire could be on the brink of collapse by 2025. Imagine a world where the US vanishes from the global financial map. This isn't just speculation. It's causing real concern at the highest levels of government. How did the world's largest economy find itself in such dire straits? Buckle up, because this video will unveil jaw-dropping facts and figures that will leave you stunned. Stay tuned to discover what could be the most shocking economic twist of the century. Chapter 2. From boom to bust, the troubling history of America's economy. In the 19th century, America was a rural agrarian society. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, and it catapulted into an economic juggernaut. Here's a mind-blowing fact. In 1930, the U.S. economy was worth $91 billion, about 37% of the entire world's GDP. By 1950, just 5 years after World War II, it skyrocketed to $293 billion, commanding 50% of global GDP. That's right, half of the world's economic output was coming from the U.S. By 1960, it soared to $543 billion, or 40% of global GDP, and reached a monumental $1.03 trillion by 1970. Fast forward to 2024, and the U.S. GDP stands at an eye-watering $27.7 trillion, making up 26.6% of the world's total GDP. But here's the kicker. Despite this enormous economic clout, there are looming threats that could topple this giant. One of the biggest risks? The petrodollar pact, a deal that could have catastrophic implications for the American economy. Chapter 3. The Petrodollar Pact. Secrets behind the U.S.-Saudi oil deal. The U.S.-Saudi oil alliance, forged in the late 1940s, has profoundly reshaped the global energy landscape. By the early 1950s, American firms, notably the Arabian-American Oil Company, Aramco, had transformed Saudi Arabia into a top global oil producer, with its reserves eventually amounting to 297 billion barrels, over 16% of the world's proven oil reserves. By the early 1970s, Saudi Arabia was exporting 1.5 million barrels of oil daily to the U.S., accounting for about 11% of total U.S. oil imports. The 1973 oil embargo, triggered by Saudi Arabia and OPEC's response to U.S. support for Israel, saw oil prices soar from $3 to $12 per barrel, a 300% increase. This price spike drove U.S. inflation to 11% in 1974, up from 6.2% the previous year, and led to global economic turmoil, including a 7% contraction in the U.S. GDP. In 1974, the petrodollar system was formalized, requiring Saudi Arabia to sell its oil exclusively in U.S. dollars. In return, Saudi investments in U.S. assets grew rapidly. By the late 1970s, Saudi investments in U.S. financial assets exceeded $10 billion. As of 2024, Saudi Arabia holds about $330 billion in U.S. assets, with approximately $300 billion invested in U.S. Treasury securities, making it one of the largest foreign holders. The U.S. dollar's dominance has been reinforced, representing 59% of global foreign exchange reserves. But with trillions of dollars at stake, what major shifts might occur as this agreement concludes, and how might they reshape the global economy? Chapter 4. The day the oil runs dry. What happens when the deal ends? Imagine waking up on January 1st, 2025, to discover that a critical agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia has ended. This deal supplies about 11% of America's crude oil, 1.8 million barrels per day. As of early 2024, oil prices are around $82 per barrel. If Saudi oil vanishes, oil prices might skyrocket by 20–30%, potentially rising from $82 per barrel to between $98 and $106. This increase could push average gas prices from $3.50 to $4.50, or even $5 per gallon, worsening inflation, which was already at 3.1% in mid-2024. With inflation rising, businesses could see their operational costs climb by up to 25%, potentially leading to layoffs affecting up to 500,000 workers and pushing the unemployment rate from 3.6% to 4.5% or more. A drop in Saudi investments, which were over $40 billion in the U.S. in 2023, could destabilize financial markets, potentially causing a 5 to 7% decline in the U.S. dollar's value. Global oil supplies, currently around 100 million barrels per day, might face further disruptions, exacerbating supply shortages and driving oil prices even higher. Could these factors trigger the beginning of a major economic crisis? Chapter 5: Hidden Agendas and Corruption. The dark side of the oil deal. Experts are sounding alarms over the potential collapse if the U.S.-Saudi oil pact ends. As global markets hold their breath, the $450 billion U.S.-Saudi oil pact stands on the brink of collapse. This vital agreement, which has long been a cornerstone of the world's energy stability, is now in jeopardy. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, warns that a breakdown could trigger a 40% surge in crude oil prices, with devastating effects on economies worldwide. In the murky underbelly of these high-stakes negotiations, a shadowy drama unfolds. Leaked documents have exposed a labyrinth of covert dealings and clandestine meetings aimed at preserving the faltering agreement. These revelations hint at a web of hidden transactions involving billions of dollars, shrouded in secrecy and speculation. The situation grows more sinister as corruption allegations come to light. Whispers of bribes exceeding $150 million emerge, casting a pall over the integrity of the negotiations. The potential fallout is not only a matter of financial upheaval, but also a deepening crisis of trust that threatens to unravel the very fabric of international relations and economic stability. Chapter 6: Economic Meltdown or Survival. America's Fateful Countdown. As the clock races toward January 1st, 2025, a seismic economic upheaval could be on the horizon, threatening to shake the world to its core. Imagine oil prices rocketing by a staggering 30%, from $80 to an astronomical $104 per barrel. This surge could ignite inflation, pushing up everyday expenses by a dramatic 10%, turning your weekly grocery run into a $200 ordeal, and sending gas prices through the roof. Imagine a colossal $300 billion exodus of Saudi investments, an event so significant it could destabilize the US dollar and send ripples through global markets. Industries tied to oil might see their costs double overnight, potentially leading to a cascade of job losses numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Add to this mix escalating geopolitical tensions that could further cripple oil supplies, creating a perfect storm of economic instability. If these predictions come true, the U.S. could face an economic collapse so profound that it might redraw the global financial map. Are we staring down the barrel of a financial apocalypse that could redefine our world order? Stay with us as we delve into these urgent issues and prepare for a potential economic revolution.